All right, all right, all right. Here we go. We're live. It's me, Comic Crack, going earlier than I thought I would tonight. Um, a couple of things to start off with. Welcome. Hello. It's Sunday. Glad to see you all. First things first, rest in peace, Comic Factory 4. This week's episode dedicated to Jarrett and Comic Factory 4. I was at when I was at Thirsties at Mad Cat talking to Dan. There was another one of the comic addicts there. Local comic legend Greg Harder has swooped in and bought everything in the store of Comic Factory. So now he is officially closed. It's actually kind of sad. He has been a staple of Winnipeg comics for a long time. So, Jarrett, I know sometimes you tune in and you watch these things. I don't know how often you do, but you will be missed. Your store was incredible. You're a hell of a guy. He did amazing stuff for me, specifically, amongst other people. Since our office moved around the corner, and he's done it for a while, he's always been really good with doing special orders for me, getting stuff in when it might just be one or two copies that he's going to get in. So he will really be missed. He's open on Tuesdays, I think, for people coming in to pick up their pull list stuff only. But other than that, local legend Greg Harder has bought everything, and that's the end of an era, one of the comic shops. Yeah, man, it's a bummer. Downtown, like a lot of downtowns in a lot of cities, our downtown is really seeing some rough days, man. Yeah, whatever. It ain't getting good. Let's say that. Um, the other thing is on YouTube, 204 Comics, one of the newer shops. I think they've been around about 2 years now, is what they were saying in their video. 204 Comics, they have a YouTube channel. I'll try to remember to link it in the description here afterwards, because their latest blog video, they talk about their interaction with our big local comic convention. And it's a really interesting little story. Some of it is not surprising whatsoever, and some of it was a little surprising for me, the way that the whole thing was approached, the way they were approached specifically. But I'll leave them to tell the story. Hello, Volstix. How the hell are you? Long time no see. I did not leave Twitter. No, I have no intention of leaving Twitter. I haven't seen you on there. Hope you're. Yeah, I'm there. I don't know, man. I haven't had any issues with my account. I'm still there. Check me out. I thought we talked recently, like within the past maybe month on Twitter there, Volstix. Scott Connor, how the hell are you, man? Good to see you. But no, I'm still there. So I'm there, but I also restarted my Tumblr page. Well, I always had a Tumblr page. I've had it for quite a long time. I haven't used it in about 4 years probably. They were really cracking down on censorship on Tumblr. So I said, fuck that. And I left because I like boobs, and there was boobs on there. Plus there was other stuff. I was following a lot of artists and comics, a lot of the same types of people that I follow on Twitter. I kind of like the Tumblr format because you can share a bunch of photos and you can also talk. You can also type stuff up. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for Instagram and Twitter. It has the best of both worlds there in one format. Best of both worlds in one handy format. But I don't intend to leave Twitter. The only time I'm leaving Twitter is if they all of a sudden charge for accounts. And I don't have no blue check mark, nor do I want one. So I have no intention of leaving. Yeah, absolutely. Check it out. I'm still there. Same name. Haven't gone anywhere. I'll shoot you a message afterwards to kind of see. Like, I know that there's been stories in the past of Twitter kind of dropping a bunch of subscriptions and things like that. So who knows with this transition? Maybe something happened. Who the hell knows? So anyway, the thing that we're going to start off with today quickly is some music. Chris Chaos and Comics posted recently that Earache Records is going to be reissuing a bunch of kind of legendary albums. Sorry, what did I say? I probably meant to say Earache. I don't know what I said. Maybe I said Earache. I don't remember. Anyway, Godflesh, but they're also going to reissue a Brutal Truth album, their second album, Need to Control, which I actually don't have anymore. I don't have a couple of Brutal Truth CDs anymore. So seeing him post that got me listening to some Brutal Truth again. And that led me down a rabbit hole of listening to some grindcore, which is fucking amazing to revisit. One of the things that I found was this channel that had a 6-hour and 10-minute grindcore festival. They had 2 years in a row. I'm watching the second year. I'm about 3 hours into it or something. And it's fucking outstanding. And there's this one band on there from the States called Fed Ash, FEDASH, 2 separate words. Have a look at them on YouTube. They have a VHS tape that's posted up there of a performance. They did this piece and it's mind-blowing. I've watched it like 3 times now already. But honestly, the energy of grindcore has always been one of my favorite things. So let's talk a little bit about this quick first. So Nuclear Assault, one of my all-time favorite bands. These are my OG tapes from back in the day, a young teenage crackhead. And Dan Lilliker was the bass player for Nuclear Assault. Oh, nothing on the inside of this one. I thought I had another one of their tapes as well too, but I can't seem to find it. I've got a ton of tapes stashed all over the place though. One of the things in this one specific is a short little ditty called Hang the Pope. I always was a fan of fast music. When I first heard like early DRI, I was hooked. Songs like this, I was always into thrash and metal and stuff, but this was the next level. This was faster. The early DRI was faster than anything else I was listening to. Yeah, he started in Anthrax. He's played with a million different bands. Dan Lilliker's played all over the place. So I go to see Napalm Death, and opening for Napalm Death was Brutal Truth, and this is their first album. And I go to the bar to have a beer, and who walks up for a beer but Dan Lilliker. I have a very, very quick conversation with him. Hey, how you doing? That's fucking amazing. I love Nuclear Assault. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm here with my new band, Brutal Truth. I'm like, holy shit, man. I can't wait to see you guys. They proceeded to blow my fucking hair back. They were amazing, amazing. They did a lot of like samples. There was kind of this industrial noise between tracks, and it was fast as all get out. So honestly, I left there kind of sailing after seeing them. But Napalm, they even blew Napalm Death out of the water, if I'm being honest. It was so great to see them, and I was a fan instantly. So probably the next day, or because I don't think I had I don't remember if I bought this from the show or if I went downtown the next day to buy. Yeah, what hair? I had some hair at the time, Scott. I don't remember if I went downtown like the next day to pick up this tape at Records on Wheels, which was the record shop where I bought all my tapes from. Amazing, amazing stuff. And then they had this Perpetual Conversion, which is kind of an EP with some songs on it and some remix type of things on it. This is kind of one of their biggest ones. I forgot to bring some records from upstairs too. This is Sounds of the Animal Kingdom. Highly recommended album. This is a phenomenal album. And then on a message board, I think I probably got this copy from them. They were pretty active on message boards and things. This is Birth of Ignorance, and it's a live show, which is basically just a dub. So here's all the tunes they do there. So a live bootleg put out by them and Morbus Records. Kevin Sharp, being one of the singers, he was in this Bar Noise, which is a bar in Japan that had all these noise acts in it. He appears on this one, Kevin and Friends. And then we just got a couple of albums here. So Machine Parts +4. This is 2,511 out of 1,000. So the second, maybe even the third print of it, or the third release. I'm not even sure how the numberings went for each of them. And then this is a split with the band Phobia, I think, picture disc with some Bud on it. And they kind of broke up after Sounds from the Animal Kingdom, and then came back and did some albums, did another tour. Kevin Sharp has played in a bunch of bands. He even guested on Melvin's album, etc., etc. So grindcore, this is the band. I would say there's a million good bands out there, but Brutal Truth is kind of top notch for me. Yes, more crack. Did you hear that Mutations prog metal scooper group project that had Marky Smith on 2 tracks? No, I didn't. 2 members of Napalm Death. Oh, really? Hey, yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Bass Napalm Death. Yes, absolutely. Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen Melvin's, I think, 4 times now, I think. And every single time, they're one of my favorites. I would say, like, they're right up there for me. Love seeing that. And they put on a hell of a live show too. Anyway, this channel isn't about music. This channel is about fucking comics. So let's start off with a couple of easy ones, and then I'll get into stuff that I didn't talk about this afternoon in the chat with Rasa, and then Damien showed up as well too. So head on over to Rasa's channel and you can see the whole chat. All new Firefly. It's the all new one. It's issue number 9. I dig it. It's good stuff. Jane has a son. We thought the son was dead. Turns out the son is alive. He was sent through a portal. Jane followed him blindly through the portal. It's entertaining. I dig it. Pup Shaw and Push Paw. So this one I've had forever. I think I might have traded some records for this and some. It was either Hyena or Honk magazine. I don't remember, but there was a guy at one of the university stations so long ago. Well, I'm guessing probably 2004-ish, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And I'm pretty sure I traded a bunch of stuff, and this was one of the things that I got. Huge Jim Woodring fan because I was Jane Scott's son. Yes, absolutely, it was. A short video of MES and the Mutations crew with footage of them putting songs together. Okay, cool. Yeah, please link it up. So I've been on a Woodring kick after finding that last issue from volume 2. So this one was on my son's shelf. It's been passed around the family. My son and my daughter have both read this, and their fingerprints are all over some of these pages, and the cover is a little bit dirty and sticky, but that's what books are for. And we used to sit up and try to make up stories with this. So this is the presentation through the whole thing. In the stream this afternoon, Damien was showing that this original piece had sold recently on one of, like, was it Heritage, Damien, if you're still here? I think he said it was Heritage. A great story. A little more kid friendly. We don't have any man hog getting butchered or people cutting off limbs or anything. But it was great to kind of sit with again and just look through these happy little bastards. Rare Woodring, is it okay? Asked if it's press pop. It is press pop. What a fucking score, mate. Have you got the 3D Woodring book? No, I don't have the 3D, but I do have the next thing on my shelf that I'm going to be pulling off of for Woodring stuff. Is I have the Seeing Things from Fantagraphics soft cover, which I think also sold out pretty damn quick. I've got a copy of that. I think it's just a collection of art, if I'm remembering it right. I haven't looked through it in years. Scott Eater Gallery sells Woodring originals. Oh, that's good to know. Imagine Man Hog is your male download protagonist. Yeah, absolutely. Getting strung up from a tree by some alien vegetable thing. Hello, Gorvidal. How's it going, man? Updated Little Rascals. Yes, those happy little bastards. It was an unused title. So this was great. just silent and exploring the world and no cares in the world. And then finally finding a spot by the water and curling up together. Volstix, you might know, it was Press Pop that did some Woodring toys too, right? Did they do a Pup Sean Push Pop set of toys? I know they did some. I know that Woodring has done some toys in the past, some vinyl collectible figures or whatever the fuck they're called. I thought it was through Press Pop as well too. Yeah, I do now as well, which is super fucking exciting. I've got the magazines and the second comic volume as well too, all of the issues finally. Tantalizing Tales. I don't know if I have all of the Tantalizing Tales yet. That might be something I'm still missing, an issue or two. And yeah, they did those toys. Okay, great. Peppa Pig would not survive for 1 second in a Woodring nightmare. So let's get on with it and let's go big here. So, as you know from last week, I scored a big chunk of Yummy-Fur. So I decided to make this my week of digging into. I think I've read the first 13 issues so far. So I have the first 18 in a row, and I just dug in, pretty much, like a few a night kind of thing, and really just tucked into this series. And let me tell you, man, it's a hell of a way to read it, I gotta say. Reading it in a nice big chunk like that is the way to go. So Chester Brown is one of my kind of favorites. 1986 is when this came out. So the first 3 issues, so from July 1983 to September 1985, he wrote and drew 7 self-published issues of a mini comic called Yummy-Fur. Now Vortex wants to republish them, so here we are. So the first 3 issues of Yummy-Fur collects that early stuff, and it's great. So this is one when I met him. I brought this one with me because I've had this first issue for quite a while. I brought this, and he was kind enough to sign it and do a little drawing and personalize it for me, which is great. Everyone in Canada, but not Tomb of Dracula. Yeah, here it's the complete opposite. So it was, I mean, he's one of those guys that feels like he was fucking great pretty much right out of the gate. So with this early stuff, it's almost more of like a gag strip to some degree. But what he ends up doing so fucking brilliantly is that you end up, like, here's Ed the Happy Clown. You end up getting these elements from some of these gags that then find their way into, they end up finding their way into the continuing story. Because right now I'm kind of still in the throes of Ed the Happy Clown storyline, and that's, like I said, issue 13. I had to look around again to see which one. It's really amazing storytelling because you kind of have a sense, you get a bit of a sense of his world and his maybe sense of humor, but then you're kind of taken by surprise when he starts weaving this story around these characters that were seemingly unrelated. And one of the things he does so well at the beginning is making that seamless. One of the things that I've noticed with the last couple of issues, there's almost a sense of storytelling where it's a little more obvious, like now checking in on so-and-so, and last week this happened. Whereas in these kind of first 10, it's more seamless. There isn't really much of that narration type of writing. You just get thrown into these scenarios, and then you realize that, oh, it's a flashback because this person ended up getting shot in the previous issue. So now we're flashing back to see what happened in that time since they were shot, because we had the story go from the time they're shot, follow a character along. Next issue, you come back to that same moment, but then go down the other path. and he does it so incredibly well. It's really, really good writing. So again, like one of those rare guys that it seems they had these skills down right from the get-go. And of course, with anything like this, once you dive into when you dive into any sort of creator, it's beautiful to see their style develop and see things move forward. I don't feel like there's much point in telling you anything about the story necessarily. That was kind of the biggest thing that I wanted to kind of point out. So this is the number 3. So this is where it's the final issue of collecting his early stuff. So Crime and Punishment. And this is where it really starts to kick in. We see this character come back multiple times in the Ed the Happy Clown book. So it almost feels like Ed the Happy Clown starts here proper, even though we've seen him already. So it almost feels like it's these, I don't know. I just don't really have the words. I guess I've probably explained it enough. But needless to say, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. The one thing that hasn't been working for me, these kind of things are funny. An authentic Inuit folk song. Quinn the Mighty Hunter was strong, brave, and free. And when he had to take a pee, he took it on his dog, Fifi. Now, Fifi didn't like this. Oh, he almost had a fit. And the next time Quinn had to take a piss, his pisser got bit. 0 for you, young man. Yes, sir. Great, just silly stuff. So it's a really good mix of silly humor with surreal kind of scenarios, with kind of sci-fi, with satire. All of these things playing so nicely. This guy who continually shits, he cannot stop shitting, is kind of the crux of the whole universe that's going to surround Ed the Happy Clown. I was saying last week as well, I haven't read much Ed the Happy Clown, so it was also really nice to sort of go in blind to some degree, because I don't know much about the story. And I went back, I only have a few of the issues, but I pulled out some of the Drawn and Quarterly reissues of Ed the Happy Clown. They did some single issues, 9 issues total. I think I've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, I've got 6 actually. So I should hunt down those other 3. When he did these ones, it was a reprint of stuff in here. And then I think he edited and maybe added some things to the story as well for this. And you can see like they're quite a bit smaller than a regular. Oh, now you can see because I have it on the camera. They're a bit smaller than a regular comic in both width and height there. Yeah, so loving it. Abso-fucking-lutely loving it. Really, really digging it. One of the things that I'm not so crazy about, he does. Is there the backup in this one? When does that start? Oh, no, it does start there. So he does Mark. He does his religious stories in here. And it really is just a retelling of these Bible stories. And they just don't do anything for me. I sort of scan through these. I don't spend a ton of time on them. I guess I can see kind of the contrast of, you know, the stream of consciousness, almost storytelling where all this bizarre and sometimes violent shit happens, and then wanting to do some Bible story. He talks about it in one of the letters. He gets a letter from a cartoonist, and I can't remember who off the top of my head, asking him about his fascination with the Bible. And he just says, I was brought up in the church. This is stuff that's ingrained in our family. You know, like these stories are kind of part of my youth. So it's almost like he's just getting that out of his system and just doing what I'm guessing so far is a pretty straight retelling of those stories. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do when I hit 18, because that's where I have a couple of President Reagan is his penis, by the way, that can talk. It's from another dimension. And it's ridiculously funny. Really, really good. So I'm going to have to find those last few issues to complete this run so I can read it all the way through, because that seems to be the way to tackle this. Hello, Chaos and Comics. How are you, man? Loving it. Loving it. Loving it. I know I'm not telling you all anything you probably don't know already with Yummy Fur. We'll just look through the covers. Man, my lighting is just the shits today. Glares all over the place. But some of these covers are outstanding as well, too. Let's see. What did I miss here? Let's go back. Those weird short stories in Yummy Fur are crazy. There's a real stream of consciousness vibe to Ed and the early stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I think most of it was literally just made up as he went along. Well, I mean, if that's the case, he did a fucking stand-up job pulling in all of these elements to kind of have something come together. Yummy Fur is one of the best comics of all time. I like the Bible stories. They're heavily influenced by his interest in Gnosticism, which you can see in the later ones that heavily feature Mary M. Kate. Bedtime for Penis, absolutely. I love the way Ronald Reagan looks nothing like the real. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that is good as well. So there you go. Yummy Fur. First item up. What else didn't I talk about today on the chat? Oh, I know. Let's stay Canadian, shall we? Let's stay Canadian for a little while. Since this is the Canuck Karak channel. From Aircell Comics, this is issue number 1 of something called Torment. That was going to be a 3-issue series. It looks like it's a reprint. And I thought the name was here. Maybe the name is at the back. Francesco. I have a feeling that I can't remember if this was a Brazilian artist, and I think they might have done some other stuff by him as well. This was a bizarre werewolf story that moved so incredibly fast that it was a little not difficult to follow. It just felt like you were just getting bombarded with changes of scenery. There was no kind of easy pacing to this whatsoever. It was from one panel to the next. Let's rush to get to the next panel. Let's rush to move the story on. Let's make sure that we get some, let's make sure that we get some boobs in there. I love me a good werewolf story. There's no doubt about it. I would grab the next 2 if I saw them, because I'm kind of a sucker for Aircell at this point. Thank you very much, Colin. Although it wasn't totally his fault, but he had something to do with it. He won't escape some scathing blame. So it was good enough. You know, it's Aircell, so I mean, what do you expect, right? A fun little read, no doubt. And with some werewolf ripping off someone's head there, which that's always great. So that's that one. Another one that I really enjoyed. Happy to help. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's talk Colin Upton's other slightly smaller big thing. Finally read me some chunky Colin Upton. I've got, I think, 1 or 2 mini comics, one that's on 9/11, and I can't remember what the other one is. I loved these a lot more than I thought I would. These were both really, really great reads. So this first one, I didn't realize. I knew that Colin Upton and GX Jupiter Larson from The Haters knew each other. I didn't realize that Colin Upton performed with the noise performance artists, whatever you want to call them, The Haters. This one made me kind of dislike The Haters. So this was quite a story about a show that they went into the States and performed at this. I don't remember if it was called Fort Casey, if it was in Fort Casey, but it was like a park and a historical site, and they ended up kind of trashing a bit of the place. And Colin, just his experience with this, and he ends up not talking to GX for many years after this because of his experience, and because he felt like he was put in this situation that he couldn't back out of, I guess, or he felt like he didn't have a choice but to kind of follow it through. Roberta Gregory makes an appearance in here as well too. He's friends with her, so she kind of helped write some of this in as much as helping him with the memory of the event because she was there, and then of course she draws herself in it as well. Really great story. I like when it comes to a lot of stories where it's these kind of diary type of stories where you're reliving and showing your scars, I guess, as a creator. There always seems to be a bit of an angle. He doesn't shy away from painting himself in a negative light, but he doesn't do it to the extreme, or he doesn't seem like the kind of person that is that kind of real prick. He seems like he's a guy struggling with politics, how to engage in politics, how to engage with art, how to even just kind of have his own voice. He's dealing with his just anger issues, which we can see here, which he does discuss in here about how he flew off the handle quite a few times. And just this whole event, really, really well done, very entertaining. And I immediately picked up number 3 afterwards. So this is issue number 2. That, pardon me. This is issue number 3. So this is about the beginnings of the Iraq War and him watching a lot of news outlets and kind of coming to terms again with how he feels about it, how he can try to educate people. He wants to get himself involved in some of the protests. What does that look like for someone living in Canada? Is there a point to having your voice? All of these questions that kind of come to him. Again, just presented really well. I like this guy. He seems he's not a perfect character, but he's not as flawed as if you were reading an R. Crumb comic, for example. And I use that term flawed very loosely. I don't mean, you know what I mean. I'm sick of explaining myself. Social media has done that to us. It feels like that's something I was thinking about the other day. You feel like you have to, when you have a conversation, you have to put all these things up front that you're not saying before you get to the stuff that you are saying. And I'm trying lately not to do that very much. I'm trying to get away from feeling like I need to have these pre-show warnings, so to speak. And this was a very, very poignant part in the story. He makes it very clear about his thoughts on war. I mean, ultimately, who likes war? The only people that ended up suffering are fucking civilians who get the shit bombed out of their houses and their children killed because 2 fuckface countries want to whip their dick out and show who's boss. So he ends up meeting a vet, and they have this conversation, and Colin does a great job, you know, because when they start talking about things, this vet is kind of almost embarrassed, like, hey man, I know how you feel about us. And he basically says, please, like, basically don't worry about it. I wanted to say the one thing we've learned from Vietnam is not to blame the troops. And I thought that was really great as well too. This whole scene out of all of this book where he's trying to kind of figure out his stance and figure out how he wants to get engaged and why he wants to get engaged. This scene kind of really breaks down the story to a point that's incredibly moving. A really, really nice use of just a conversation between 2 human beings waiting for a bus that end up just talking. Very, very impressive. And then we end with an annual Peace March, 20th of April, Vancouver's annual Peace March. And then until the next war, Colin Upton. And then, of course, like any good indie comic of the day, there's some letters there as well, too. So, yeah, I really want more from Colin. I'm going to make it a mission to get some more books from him because very, very nice reads. Very good stuff. Let's see, where do we go next? Shall we stay Canadian? Let's stay Canadian. Let's go. What do I got over here? Nothing there. Sorry, stand by. Check the stack. Check the stack, Jack. I talked about this one this afternoon, but we'll do a quick kind of recap of Mackenzie Queen. Finally found issue number 2 yesterday. If you watched that video, sorry, let me check the comments before I move on. Colin Upton. You have the second issue with the red colored title font. Oh, and then about that art, very well designed page and great use of black. Absolutely. I have one magazine size big thing too. Oh, really? Okay. I'll have to make sure that I put that on the list and do a hunt. I usually check Lone Star to see what they have listed for that kind of stuff. So I'll make sure that I keep an eye out for a potential magazine size one. So Matrix Graphics, apparently this was the first thing that they published. This is Bernie Moreau's Mackenzie Queen. Hello, Comics Unlimited 666. How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. 5-issue miniseries that was originally put out in 1985, and similar to the Yummy Fur, I think this first issue, I think they say in here that it was done 2 years previously. I'm not seeing it readily. So a couple of years before this was published. The plan was to do this 5-issue miniseries. It wasn't something that got canceled. He had a 5-issue miniseries in mind with the hope of doing some more afterwards. Specifically, he promises in this final issue that I promise there's going to be an Ududu one-shot where we look at his kind of past. One of the things that immediately got my attention on this is this paper is very toothy and heavy for newsprint. It's sturdy stuff, and I love the feel of it. I love the smell of it. So we get to see an artist like, look at this shit. I love this panel, that hand coming out there. Amazing stuff. We get to see an artist develop over these 5 issues. The basic premise is that we have 2 aliens coming from another world to deliver a book to someone on Earth who's going to save the planet Earth from getting obliterated. The kind of enemy alien species can also put themselves inside any living creature on whatever planet they visit. So in this case, they kind of possess a bear, and they have this fight at the beginning here. The layouts are great. I love the roughness of this art. I love the chunkiness of the line, like everything was done with Sharpies and markers. So that's kind of our intro to those characters. And then we get our intro to Mackenzie Queen himself. He's this sort of mystic type person. Currently, he's doing an incantation with this candle. And we find out this is Matrix Graphics is who put this out. Another Canadian. It's based out of Montreal, and it's it was 1985. I'm just double checking the date. 1985. Just 5 issues from Bernie Moreau, the guy that did the Jam, which I think is on the back of one of these here. Yeah, right there. So same creator here, and I've seen some Jam comics occasionally. But honestly, the covers have never done anything for me. It doesn't look interesting to me whatsoever. But after reading this, I'll probably give it a try next time I see it in the cheap bins, because I really dig his style. So he was a musician, kind of like a busker, guitar, writing his own songs. He meets this alien who's kind of really beat down. Here we go with his flashback, and ask him to play him some music, which ends up regenerating this alien. And this alien gives him this this magical candle and this let's see. phrase. So with a gesture, he lit the candle and voiced the phrase that I've come to know so well, solstet eti o. And that's how he, yeah, that's right. There's the name there. And that's how he kind of gets his, that's how he gets his powers. There's a couple of things from Matrix Graphics, but I'm blanking right now. We'll look in the 5th issue in a second, and they talk a couple of titles other than the Jam. So that's kind of his introduction. He, of course, is going to be the person that's going to save the planet. So it's a really, really solid first issue. It's laid out really nicely. I loved the art style. I loved that it was a little rougher. And then we get to issue number 2, and I got a little worried because issue number 2, the art was still enjoyable, but it seemed to have lost a little bit of its oomph. And I'm glad that it was only like a slight misstep in one of the issues. Again, the art is still good. It's not horrible, but it seemed to lose a little bit of energy that was there from that first issue. But luckily, it picks up again pretty quickly. But I would say that issue number 1 absolutely stands out from the other 4 issues. But I really liked this story. I thought it was pretty entertaining. There's some kind of goofy humor thrown in, a little bit of sci-fi elements, but his art and his page layouts in some of these issues are really amazing. Sorry, I'm probably flipping too fast. Very, very enjoyable stuff. So highly recommended. Northgard, that is one of them. Hello, Eliza Dominelli. How are you? New Triumph featuring Northgard, the Jam. Another one called Dragon's Star as well is a title that I'm not familiar with. I don't think I looked, and there's also, as you can see in this one, there's a real Matt Howarth type of vibe, especially to a piece like that. Yeah, so recommended for sure. And you can see there, like that's a different, it's almost a different line on those characters there compared to what we've seen so far. So really great. What else? There was another. Anyway, that's Mackenzie Queen. And also on issue number 4 and 5, Steve Bissett does the covers, and there's glare all over the place. I'm sorry, I've really fucked up the lighting today for some reason. I don't know how I've done it. So 2 Steve Bissett covers there on the last 2 issues. Good, solid read. The other stuff I've pretty much talked about. Postmortem by Matt Howarth. An interesting book just because it was reprinting some short stories and stuff from about 1977-ish to 81-ish. The stories themselves were kind of forgettable, but the art was incredible. I may have to end this stream early. My stomach is doing tumbles on me here all of a sudden. And then the rest of this stuff I did talk about in our chat with La Raza this afternoon. So Liaison Delicieuse was an amazing, I only have 5 issues of the 6. This is from Eros Comics, and this is a really, really nice book. Beautiful art inside here. And the Korean comic Untouchables from Eastern Comics. There was only a 4-issue series of this that was released in English. A very, very long-running Korean comic. Manhwa or manhwa, I think is how you say it. So kind of manga style, but Korean based artists and characters and stories. Really, really, I'd easily read another 20 or 30 issues of this. You do get a little bit of a chunk. And then in the stream today, the first thing I talked about was this World's Finest Comics. Thanks very much, everybody. It was good to see you all. Go and check out the show on La Raza's channel. Listen to some metal. listen to some Brutal Truth. Check out Fed Ash and Volstix. I'll look for you on Twitter. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll talk to you.